So what do you do if your opponent is returning your serve? And we're going to set this up in the ad court for a very specific reason. But your opponent is returning serve, but the return of serve is sort of short, right? It's a little bit past the service line. So it's kind of one of those like, should I approach the net? Should I just keep the ball in play and wait for a different opportunity? The person who submitted this question said specifically she was taught if the ball lands on the service line or in the service box, that's a ball you come to net on. But if it's a little bit past, maybe a foot or two, what should you do? And Hero is an aggressive baseliner in this case, and Villain is a counterpuncher. So this situation in the ad court was exactly what happened in the Wimbledon final, match point number 2 for Roger Federer. What happened was Fed served, first serve, Fed hit a first serve that was kind of a body jam on Djokovic. Djokovic's shot, he blocked it, he kind of chipped it back, was right here, landed, so let's say there, it stayed low, Fed moved around, hit an approach shot down the line, and was approaching the net, and then Djokovic hit a passing shot. That was a great passing shot. It landed very close to the line to save that match point. So I'm sure, not that I've been researching this particular point a ton, but I'm sure there's a lot of chatter on the internet about what Federer should have done with this return, because it was sort of a 50-50 ball. You could make that argument, right? Do you keep it in play? Do you approach the net? I personally think Fed made the right choice. I think match point, you want to be aggressive, force Djokovic to come up with the goods. He did, but you're making him hit a great passing shot that landed a foot from the line. I think anything that was sort of more here, Federer would have gotten a racket on it. One very, very subtle thing, if you go back and rewatch that point, that just emphasizes the importance of positioning in tennis, is Djokovic hit this return and then backed up slightly, like kind of just split step backwards. And that gave him just a little bit of extra time to get to the shot. If you watch him hit the shot, it's a reverse forehand. So it's the forehand that releases above the head. And typically you see players do that, Rafa, Djokovic, Fed, whoever, when they don't have time to rotate and follow through. So because they're not able to rotate, they kind of release the racket over their head. So that just shows how much pressure Djokovic was under. And if he hadn't backed up and moved like this, he probably wouldn't have been able to generate that angle, wouldn't have had as much time. So that little split back gave him the ability to hit that shot cross court. So go rewatch that point if you get a minute, because it's just, again, it goes to the importance of positioning in tennis. So anyway, to bring it back to the original question of what should you do on a ball like this, I think in this case here, you can make an argument for running around, hitting a forehand, but then driving it back cross court like this, and then waiting for an even shorter ball that'll tail back into you, and then you can approach on that one. Villain's now been moved off the court here, so the approach shot down the line doesn't have to be quite as good. So I would say in this situation in the ad court, that could be certainly something you can try if you have trouble hitting quality approach shots against, just quality approach shots when the ball is low. You might be wondering, why didn't Federer do this? Again, it was match point down. I love taking the initiative. Also, driving it from over here to Djokovic's backhand gives him an opportunity to hit to a lot of open court. Djokovic has got the best backhand probably ever. So, again, I think Fed made the exact right move, make the guy come up with a good shot, and he just did. One thing here, to come back to the original question, is you could also make a case for not approaching in this situation, because you don't want to approach often to a forehand, because they can hit that dipping shot cross court. So if you put, if the situation were reversed like this and you get this low ball here, then the approach shot is a lot better, because you don't have to worry about the dipper cross court as much. So In this situation on that 50-50 ball, I almost always would go forehand to backhand. As a general rule, approaching the net, you want to approach off forehand and you want to hit it at the backhand. So if you can do that and you get, again, that 50-50 short ball, if it's a forehand, approach at the backhand, cool. You should be good to go. Obviously, though, if you're over here, then you're kind of exposing yourself, so then you might not do it. So there's a lot of nuance on that answer. Hope you like that training. And look, if you're like me, you have a fear of elevators. The good news is I'm taking steps to avoid it. The other good news is you can check out the singles playbook or the doubles playbook by clicking the link that just popped up. Could be in the description. And if you come back and check it out, I'll show you some of my favorite plays.